Trustees meeting today is Tuesday, January 6, 2026. Happy New Year. We have a quorum because we've got Lindsay on Zoom. We've got two items to vote on today, Lindsay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the approval of the minutes down, and we'll do it a little bit farther down, maybe after Tavi speaks, so we can hear from Kaimi right away. I wondered if there's any public comment to start. Anybody have anything they want to talk about, or? Okay. All right. So I'll move the minutes down, and we'll start. Oh, hey Tracy, how are you? You made it. So the next topic is happenings at Snow Library, and you're probably wondering, well, what is that? And it's something that Mark and I had a conversation about, and I've talked with other trustees about in general idea, and the idea is to try and visit Snow Library programs, to talk about, to hear from staff members and to talk about them over the course of the next several months as a means to bring things to the surface and have conversations about what's going on, and maybe have some questions and answer, just as a means to talk a little bit more about what it is that we do and what goes on at the library. There aren't thousands of people who watch our meetings, but there's people who watch them, and people always come up to me and they comment about things that we've talked about through the course of the month, and I think there's no better way to get the word out about some of the things that we're doing than through these meetings. And I think it helps raise awareness. It helps with bringing more people to the programming that Snow Library puts together. So I asked Kaimi if she would talk about two topics today. And is it three or is it two? I think it's the website and Snow Studio. And is it also
Wow, you said
library? Or do you want to do that at another time?
I can talk about it if you want. We can fit it in if you'd like.
Okay. Do you want to come up to the table to talk? You'll
Sure.
be closer to the mics and stuff.
Sure.
If you're okay with that. So this is the first one, and we'll hear from Kaimi for a couple minutes, and then when she's done talking about stuff, we'll do some question and answer stuff, and hopefully not keep her past the dinner hour. I'm handing out her outline, as well as a copy of the Winter Concert Series and the Snow Cinema. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it, especially on my short notice.
Sure. Happy to be here. So my name's Kaimi. I don't think I've met all of you. I met Tracy, and I know thank you. Bill,
Yep.
Cheryl, and Jamie.
Yep.
And she's a recorder. Yes.
Darcy.
Hi, Darcy.
Hi.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Kaimi, assistant director, and I prepared some information for you today about some of the things that Jamie was interested in hearing about. Do you want me to start with the makerspace, or?
Sure, wherever.
Okay. So we launched a makerspace in October of 2018 with grant funding that we applied for and successfully obtained from the Library Services and Technology Act, which is a program of the Institute of Museum and Library Services, and it's awarded by the MBLC. The goal of the project was to create a makerspace on the lower level in an area that was already designated as a craft area, but was sort of underutilized. It was being used as a storage space and sort of for staging of the weekly Saturday book sales by the Friends of Snow Library. In our needs statement, we talked about how we lacked a functional space for craft programs. Our youth services librarian had to conduct all of her little hands-on activities for the children right in the children's area, which had carpeting, low tables, so glue and paint and sequins, whatever she was using would kind of, go all over the place. And we also were seeing an interest in programming for adults, which we wanted to accommodate. So that was sort of the overview of the project, and the goal of the project was to create a designated makerspace on the lower level. And
Would you just give us some examples of the kinds of programs you've been doing there?
recent programs or original programs?
Any, just so
Sure.
the board hears the kind of art activities that you're doing in the space.
Sure. We do everything from planned programs that are led by presenters, professionals brought in from outside the library. We did a Brazilian embroidery craft in the summer, led by Esther Beckleiter from Wellfleet. We've done upcycled book crafts, led by Kitty Scabelli. We did still life drawing our first year, led by a local artist, an artist in Wellfleet who has a gallery there, Paul Suggs, and other artists who are willing to participate. We do drop-in programs where we'll just have materials kept out in the studio, and there's no like official overseeing of the activity, but we'll invite people to come in and make something, use the space. All of April this past year, we did drop-in collage. We put out sort of like little instruction sheets on how to do it, and we just had a whole array of different kinds of papers, materials, glue, scissors, everything we needed. And then the results of that are now like in our little front lobby display case, so people can see what we did. What else have we done? We've done sea glass ornaments this past year, oyster shell trinkets, magnets, charm bracelets, book bouquets, decorated water bottles, air clay fish dishes, and decorated mugs for different holidays. So pretty regular programming. And then, of course, just people just go down and spur of the moment, take their kids down and make something out of paper towel tubes and craft paper. They're welcome to do that as well. So that's sort of what goes on down there.
So that's 7 years,
Mhm.
maybe a little bit less, that the programming has been in use in the space. That's great. I mean, that's, if you had to say maybe a dozen events a year?
Yeah, 12 to 15 like planned events,
Yep.
and then just in addition to the sort of ongoing activity.
Yep.
It can seem quiet down there sometimes, but it's definitely used. And we also have people come in and ask if they can hold regular programs there, like the knitters are invited to use the space if they want. We have a weekly knitting group. Someone came in recently and wanted to have a computer club, and that was going to be a monthly thing, which can't really be, that can't really happen in the crane room because we can't do sort of serial programming in the crane room. It's not really in our policy because it takes up too much of the time and space in that room. So we offered the makerspace for that program. So yeah, it fulfills different needs in the library.
So over that time, do you feel like that the space needs modifications in terms of, do you have enough storage, tables, chairs?
We have a lot of storage. Yeah, the point of the refurbishments that were done in 2018 when we got the grant, we're adding 5 really big metal storage cabinets. Those are fastened to the wall around the room.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very capacious, and we're able to restock them periodically with whatever we need. But we got a good charge of supplies with the grant funding that we won. So we were able to, I think 2/3 of the funding went to the furniture, the cupboards, the carts, and the equipment and supplies. And then the remaining third of that funding went to programming. So it really gave us a good boost as far as being able to, provide that.
Yep. And what do you tend to dip into for funding for outside leaders now? mostly do Friends of Snow Library?
Some friends, some programs, some craft programs are funded by trusts. But then those are the main two.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's great.
So the grant funded the first full year of programming. So 2019 was the first full year. And we had about 2 programs a month, and in addition to the like drop-in programs, 2 scheduled programs a month.
But the rate is definitely kept up in terms of popular programs. I
Yeah.
mean, it's still churning along.
Well, we had a little lull. COVID was 2020, so
Right.
we've just finished our year, 2019, when our first year when the pandemic happened. So we did kind of have a little bit of a quiet time after that, but things slowly got back up
I think
to
everybody
speed.
should be aware that this grant was from the Institute of Museum and Library Services
Which
that
was-
just got restored in Washington.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
it was shut down in last January.
Yeah.
And the funding for that to exist, for their doors to open, and for them to distribute the money that's been given to them by Congress has just been restored.
How did that happen? That's kind of surprising to you.
There was an appeal at a federal level, and the administration decided not to.
They caved?
Well, the Congress
said
has
that.
Yeah, that
allocated
was
the
at the last
money, so
report, yeah.
they were suing the government for not spending the money that had been allocated
Oh,
by
okay.
Congress
Okay.
to fund the department.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, that was the IMLS. Does anyone have any questions about oh, and we have this little binder is in the studio downstairs, and it's a little just breakdown of all the activities we did the first year. Our sort of launch with pictures and descriptions. It's there for anyone to look through if you happen to be down there.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Other art-related events that you had asked about, we have monthly exhibits in the Crane Gallery featuring local and emerging artists selected by the Crane Gallery Committee. And those are accompanied by art receptions, which happen the second Saturday of the month, usually from 11 to 1. Sometimes we have an exhibit that straddles 2 months. Actually, the one that's up right now is a really beautiful exhibit called Take Heart, and it's documenting of the hearts painted on pallets that were all over Cape Cod during the pandemic. Sort of, really interesting, colorful exhibit. That's going to be both January and February this year with 2 receptions. One is going to be an artist's talk this coming Saturday, and then in February they're showing a documentary of how they put this whole project together. Some other highlights in 2025 that the gallery committee provided. We have, 2026. The Nauset Regional High School art students are going to do their annual show again. They usually do a show in April. The gallery is typically reserved in April for them. We have abstract works by Guy Trudeau coming up in March, and a second Pride exhibition in June. Our first one was last summer. Also a photography show organized by the Orleans Pond Coalition in September as part of Celebrate Our Waters, and a group exhibit by the Art Smart Art Collaborative in October. We had some really wonderful shows this past year. I don't know if anyone got to the flower photography exhibit in December, but it was really, really interesting and big turnout for the reception. We also have the front lobby display case, which is another place where we showcase artwork by local artisans and collectors and artists, as well as presentations by local organizations who want to promote their work and activities. So the Orleans Pond Coalition, Nauset Neighbors, sometimes the Friends of Snow Library will do a lifetime learning exhibit in that case. We also have recent really wonderful exhibits. For instance, the Wednesday night knitters who meet every week downstairs been putting up their creations around the holidays usually. We had an exhibit of carved wooden bowls by David Houghton, and every April, in tandem with the student art exhibit in the Crane Gallery, we have jewelry created by the students at Nauset in the display case. This coming year, we're going to have the jewelry again, a Pride-themed art display in June, and some seed bead creations by Erica Zvilnata, she's an artist, in July, and then some more artwork or work by the Wednesday night knitters. So some of the things that are happening there. And then I did a little bit on how we promote library activities. That was sort of related to your questions about Wowbrary. So I can talk about that if you'd like me to.
Are there any questions about the other art-related events and the use of the upstairs? It seems like to me that the space is pretty much packed out every month. It's filled up in terms of both gallery exhibitions and use. With the front lobby display case, when the trustees last sought to use that space for the new library project, it was something that, I was surprised about the number of people that would stop and look at that and then say something to somebody about it. So it's clear that local artists and groups of artists are getting great exposure from a lot of people coming into the building, which is really important.
Yeah, and it's really a place for everyone. We had one of our most popular exhibits in the display case was a collection of robots, vintage robots.
Oh, I remember that
Yeah.
from somebody who worked in the a restaurant.
Who just stopped in and he saw the display case and he's like, I have this great collection of like retro robots. And he showed me some pictures, but we had no idea the scale of this display. It was dozens and dozens of wonderful antique robots. And it was written up in the Chronicle. I think it was a really fun one.
That's neat.
So that was good, yeah.
So on to Wowbrary.
Sure, Wowbrary. That's our weekly e-newsletter. It's something you can sign up for through our website, or you can just go to, we have little handouts at the front desk that show you how to do it. You sign up, provide your email address, and you get it in your inbox every Wednesday morning. It's we have about 577 subscribers right now. It's linked to our ILS, our library system, so it taps in every week and is able to pull information about what titles are new or have been added to our collection. So it creates little teasers about new fiction, mystery, DVDs. And then at the top, there is news blurbs, usually promoting and publicizing the upcoming events at the library. Everything from concerts to art shows to children's programs. And that content is developed by me and the programming assistant working together to do the graphics and the write-ups and just make sure everything is lined up. I looked at some statistics that show the highest number of clicks on the Wowbrary pages are usually in the bestsellers section, then DVDs, then mysteries and thrillers. It looks like the Wowbrary web pages are viewed about 250 to 300 times per month. It varied weekly by 35 to 60. So it's kind of interesting.
Wait, so say that again. So it's 577 subscribers, but what's the 250 web pages viewed?
That's how many times that's how many different pages, that's the number of times people are clicking on different pages.
And going from, okay. And then you're dividing that number by 4, and so one would be roughly, if you do 4.
Roughly, yeah. You can print out a chart that shows how they break it down, and it's like, 35 one week, 50 another week, 46, so it's sort of between.
That's a fair number of clicks from individuals going to see more information about a topic.
Yeah. Some libraries just use it just for the information on new things added to the collection. They don't do customized content. We try to do that just to make it, it's a good way to get information out to people. And then the other ways that we publicize are the flyers that we post around the library. We have a new display area opposite the circulation desk where we put all of the library programs on, little flyers promoting all the programs on a nice bulletin board over a counter where we can distribute literature and, little pamphlets about the different programs at the library. We used to have to sort of stand them up in acrylic frames all along the front desk, and that was getting just to be a little cluttered, and we always wanted a designated space for that, so that's a sort of recent development. We send the listings every Friday to the Chronicle, so the Chronicle does a weekly feature in their almanac section where they just list all the library events that we give them. And we'll also promote unique or sort of special programs or series like the concerts and the movies through press releases that we send to the Chronicle and the Independent. The Independent also gets our listings, and they will choose, what to put in as they have, as space allows. We have our website is where we post all of our events. We have a calendar page as well as a homepage place for those flyers. So the homepage has a little sort of slideshow that pops up right away and shows what we're doing. Then there's a second menu in the navigation bar where it says calendar. You click on that and it just basically shows the calendar with all of our events. That is now linked to the town's centralized calendar hub, which was a project we worked on this past summer because the town has centralized its events listings. And we now post to that calendar first, and then all of that content gets funneled to our website. Let's see. And then that takes us to the website. Just some details about that. We launched it in August of 2020. We had worked with Andrea Pluhar. She runs Pluhar Creative in Wellfleet, and she helped us develop the overall design and layout of the site, which was specific items in the navigation menu, the colors and feel of the site, the fonts and styles. We wanted it to, reflect the history of the library. We tied it to the maritime history of the community. So it has its own distinctive feel and reflects our community and our history. So she really helped us launch it, and then once it went live that month, and during the pandemic, staff basically took over the management of all the content and the revision of the content. So we're in there adding, taking content away when it's expired, and redesigning pages when we need to. When the building program, for instance, was being promoted, we needed a special place for that to live on the site, so we created its own creative page for that. And that's me. I'm doing most of that, overseeing most of that restructuring, and designing graphics when I need to. And then Andrea still comes in on an as-needed basis when we need something special done. So we needed to rope her in when we needed to link to the town calendar this past summer. That involved iframe coding and radius corners and stuff I did not, really know how to do. And she's been really wonderful and supportive, and she's there for us when we need her. So that's a little bit of the history. And as for statistics, we had a 17% increase in traffic in 2025 over 2024. And then a number of unique visitors increased by 13%, which I thought was kind of nice. Unique visitors are important. The pages with the highest number of views are the home page, followed by calendar page and the resources page, which is where all of our databases and special collections live online, as well as museum passes and the Cape Codder archive. So There's definitely a peak of inactivity in July. Although the off-season now, when I look at the analytics, the off-season is pretty strong. It's, you know, I think we had 3,000 in last July, 3,000 page views or something, which was pretty good for July. Yeah, so that's
People
a little
looking
bit.
for stuff to do in the winter.
Yeah, and lifetime learning, it usually when lifetime learning happens, we have a definite spike in activity. We post all the lifetime learning classes on the calendar page, so each one will be a distinct event on the event listings page.
That's great. 17% increase. Have you been seeing similar increases in previous years as,
You know, I didn't check the previous years.
I mean, 17% is big.
17% is good.
You know, I was looking at the checkouts, the door admissions. I mean, all of those are up substantially. The traffic at the library is definitely booming right now.
Yeah. Yeah. We had 95 people at our concert on Saturday.
Yeah, I went to the library on Saturday. They were out the door and in the lobby, sitting and
Yeah.
listening to the concert.
Where did?
And I had to park across the street. 'cause
You parked across the
parking
street?
lot, it was full, yeah.
95 people, wow.
Yeah.
It was really full, and that room's supposed to hold 100 people.
Including the balcony, yeah. The
Yeah, so
balcony
I was
full.
surprised, I'm surprised it's only 95 because they were definitely, there were probably 10 people out in the lobby with chairs, you know, through the open doors.
Yeah. That was our initial estimate.
Oh.
Joan was keeping track. Joan is our programming assistant, and she might have an official number, but that was what we kind of agreed on.
Because they were along the walls, they were, I mean, the room was very full.
Yeah. It was very well attended.
Questions on the website stuff, on Wowberry, on how we're promoting stuff? It's incredible how many different avenues there are at this point in time. When you tie in social media, website, Wowberry, I mean, you're spending a lot of time putting information, and sometimes it's the same information and you're putting it in 3 different vehicles.
Yeah.
And now that there's a unified calendar in the town, which I have not spent the time, admittedly, to utilize yet, but I still go to every individual thing.
Yeah. It's good to have the unified calendar. We can also tag things to the Recreation Commission, so it will get posted in multiple places.
Mhm.
And they do the same for us. So that's definitely a benefit there. We do use social media. We have Instagram and Facebook. We do the best we can with those. Yeah, so we have to make multiple versions, at least 5 different versions of each flyer. One to post physically in the library, one to post on the homepage, 2 different versions for the calendar to fit in the banner and the thumbnail, and there's a 5th. Can't remember what it is, but, so we're constantly resizing.
Wow.
And it's just how it is.
Yeah. That's a lot of changes. Ellen?
One of the things that I think is really cool that's gone on is there's a lot of, more than ever, there's a lot of mutual support and cross-promoting. So like when we ended Lifetime Learning, we introduced the new program director and told everybody, there's no Lifetime Learning in January, February, but you're gonna have movies, you're gonna have concerts. So it's like everybody works as a team and the public looks at the library. These are all library programs to them. They don't necessarily know where they're coming from, but to them, they're all just library programs.
Sure.
And so that cross-promotion and the supporting each other in the effort is seamless, I think, at this point, which is really beneficial.
Todd?
And all that hard work is noticed because I hear all positive comments about it. Comments about the display case, comments about the programs in the Snow Studio. Sometimes people will say, oh, that was so great, can you arrange to have them come again? all of that. So it definitely is all being noticed.
And Joan, the new person who's working with you, is that a full-time job or is it a part-time job?
Part-time, 19 and a half hours.
Okay. And is that enough time right now? Or could that
No, I
position
mean,
potentially be full-time?
It needs to be increased. It needs to be increased.
Yeah.
Because, as Kaimi mentioned, I mean, here you have now the technology changes, so different versions of the same thing have to be done, and it's all time consuming, you know, to create all these things. It's just, and then to get the publicity out, all of that, I mean, it's just, it keeps increasing all the time. You add social media in and all of that. So, no, it definitely, it needs to be increased.
Yeah. How many hours were there, say, 5 years ago for that type of a position? Or is that position relatively?
It's relatively new.
Yeah.
And we didn't used to do that much programming either. I mean,
No.
we're doing more now, and I think it's great.
Oh, just the sheer number of events, I mean, 550 events last year. I mean, that is a huge number of events.
And
Just to-
obviously, from the crowd on Saturday, there's a need for that in the community. People want to have public events that they can come to and see their neighbors and get together in the winter. That's a place to go.
Yes. We're starting some new sort of passive programs, which are it's just a word for programs that are recurring, that can come in anytime. So we already have our book club, first Tuesday book club, with the knitting group, children's story time, toddler time, and a move and groove or a dance to the music program for the children. And we're starting a poetry group in this month, the last week, because someone specifically asked, you know, what can you do? I'd love to talk about poetry, so we're going to try that out. It's going to be monthly. And that was someone saying, hey, you know, I really want to connect with other people over poetry, and I think that would be really great if you could do that. So we want to be responsive and support that, especially when it comes to things that have to do with reading and literacy and literature.
Sure, that's great. And it's amazing how often people who walk in the door, you know, plant an idea and the idea grows into something. And they might not have even thought about having a robot collection displayed in the front display case. I mean, come on. Or typewriters. And, you know, typewriters is another wonderful thing.
We have a typewriter in the basement for anyone to use. And we have a new seed catalog. The seed library was launched this past year. So it will really hopefully be getting going in the spring. But that's a collaboration with the agricultural committee in town. So we're excited about that as well.
Does anybody have any last questions, comments, or anything? Great. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Sure.
Really, really appreciate it, and it's wonderful to see how much you're involved with. We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
all your efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to Bill's financial report. How's the stock market, Bill?
Yeah. I'm always searching for something that would be like a headline in here, but there's really, nothing leaps out. We have the two red lines in the second section that I believe are just like warning close to zero, but not in the hole. Is that right, Jamie? Is that why they're in red?
Yeah.
Yes, what it is they, in the monthly budget summary, you have a calculated, what is called a tripping point. So so that's the ideal of where you ought to be. So any of those percentages, if they've gone past that, they're in red because it's just to alert you of that. And with both of those, again, there's no need to be concerned because a lot of them are timing issues. So.
Yeah.
With the programming, I mean, we've had a lot of programs up till now, so we've already spent 76%. And then the museum passes, those usually tend to come in at the same time where we renew them, so that money is spent. But the important thing is the bottom line, and so we always make sure when we're looking at it that we are not in red for our bottom line.
And these will be replenished in the coming months, right? Those two that are
July 1st?
Well, that's our budget, and
Right.
so, I mean, if we need, we can certainly ask the Friends, but we always manage to stay within that budget, so, because, see, what happens is, like, for example, you'll notice the first category, books and materials, we're only at 44% utilization.
Right.
So what we try to do is we try to keep, if we know we're gonna be expending from those other lines, we try to keep the other one down, so that way we will have the rest of the year, and we will, for the rest of the fiscal year, what you see there will carry us through.
Okay, thank you.
Two quick questions, Tavi. Are there any unfilled positions right now with staff, library staff?
There are no unfilled right now. We just filled the last one, which was the programming assistant in October with Joan.
Okay, so everything relative to the checkout desk, that's all filled up?
That's all filled right now, yeah.
Great. And then the second question is, could you talk just for a moment about the artist donation? So whenever someone has a show, does the Crane Gallery Committee ask them if they would consider making a
It's
donation? or
what it is, the way it's written is that you can make a donation to the Crane Gallery, because what this does is it helps with like ordering new supplies, it's to keep the gallery in good stead when we need something for our budget. Many artists do make a contribution because they're unlike other art galleries, there is no fee to exhibit.
Right.
So the artists are, getting this exposure, and they're always expressing their thanks for the exposure, and in many cases they do make a donation. And in this case, there was artist Julie Brooks, who is, as I mentioned in my report, is now becoming a member of the gallery because she enjoyed the experience there. She had a silent auction where people guessed, about certain artwork, and then she took that and she used that to make the contributions. So.
Oh, great. That's great. Is there anything large that the Crane Gallery spent in recent years? In the room?
Basically what the gallery has spent money on is the walker system,
Yep.
which is the hanging system in there, is, usually has 2 or 3 parts, and so sometimes the parts wear out, so you have to buy replacements. They needed to buy another step stool, they needed to buy some tools to fix certain pieces of the walker system. That's essentially what the money is spent for.
Okay, or lighting changes or something like that?
Or lighting changes, depending on what it is. Now, when the track lighting was put in, between the cost of the lighting and then the cost of the electrician, we actually had to go outside of that. The budget in there wasn't enough for that, so we had to supplement it. But yes, that would be for anything like that. Replacement bulbs for the track lights, that would come from there.
Okay. All right.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I notice on this report that we have the interest for October, November, and December. Does that mean you finally got a trust fund report from the town?
Yes.
Good,
Great.
glad to see that.
That's good news.
So what was it called, the what report?
The bottom item?
The bottom
This
line
one,
is
yeah.
called trust funds.
Oh, uh-huh.
And that is managed by the town, and we have to get a report from them to know what's going on with them. And we hadn't gotten one
Mhm.
for several months, so this brings us up to date.
Okay, Tavi, you started, you can keep on going.
Okay, sure.
Your monthly report.
Let's see, so just 2 things to add to my report. If anyone has any questions, like about the details of the plaque, that's for Bobby Elliott, that's a separate agenda item, and so I can discuss that there, or if anyone has any questions now, I can discuss it. The only other thing to add is that on January 16th, the Clams Network is having a legislative event. They have one every year. This year it is going to be at the Osterville Library, and so I attend every year, and I'm planning on attending, and it's a good chance, and I always repeat what it is. And so it's a chance for legislators to visit. They do this at all the library networks. And basically, they hear from their constituents, which in this case are the libraries, and to hear advocates to talk about what they need for libraries. And so it's a good chance for us to interact with the
Do they
legislators.
still encourage trustees to go to that?
They can if they want to. I mean, the number of people going is like, now it's down to like 2 from each library. So they don't, I mean, it's mostly directors, there are some trustees that go, but yeah, it's usually the venue, it depends on where the venue is. This year it's Osterville, and so and I usually, make sure I have a contact with like our representatives here, like Julian Sear, Hadley Luddy, and then sometimes you end up talking to some of the others as well.
I always advocate for trustees to go to this because it's one thing for people who work in the library to lobby legislators for money for libraries, but when trustees show up, they are citizens lobbying legislators for, they have this one breakfast on the Cape every year, and then they have one lobbying day in Boston a year. And that's really the lobbying that is done with our legislators. So I think it would be great if someone went to this with Tavi.
And if anyone wants to, just let me know, and I can, I can fill. I have not registered yet, just in case. So if anyone wants to go, just let me know.
Okay, great. Okay, anything else on your report, is that it?
I think that's it, unless anyone has any questions.
Okay, thanks, Tavi.
Thank you.
Moving on to the plaque to honor Bobby Eldridge.
Okay, so just, it's pretty much what I wrote in the report, but Bobby Eldridge had served at the library for a minimum of 30 years in almost every conceivable capacity, on the trustees. This is a little different because she was really the founder of the Marion Crane Gallery Committee. Someone came up with the idea of it, and she thought it was a wonderful idea, and so the trustees at the time said, well, then why don't you go ahead and spearhead it? And she did. She wrote all of the Marion Crane Gallery bylaws, the first set of bylaws, and she really put it together. So when I mentioned about her passing to the Marion Crane Gallery Committee, they said, wouldn't it be nice if we had a plaque in the Marion Crane Gallery to honor her? So we're talking about a plaque the size of, 6 inches by 8 inches. And it would say, to the effect, in memory of Bobby Eldridge, trustee, archivist, founder, Marion Crane Gallery Committee. And the material it would be made out of is similar to any of the other signage you see at the library. And we would get it from one of our vendors. You contact them, you tell them what you want engraved on there, and they do it for you.
That's great.
So it's not gonna have her year of birth and death?
The members voted on it, they didn't want that.
Okay, and will it have the year that this was created down on the bottom or something, or?
Well, you know what, if you have any suggestions about what you'd want added on there, I can bring it to the committee, I'm sure they're.
I'd follow their lead in terms of the language.
Okay.
For the most part, I thought that sometimes it's helpful when somebody sees a plaque for them to see what year it was created, especially since it doesn't have her years.
Right, well, that's something to consider to add, and I certainly, would bring that to the committee, and I'm sure I could, put it in there.
How about, in a smaller font down in
Yes.
the lower right-hand corner?
Yeah.
You mean like her life years?
No,
No.
no.
Her years with the library?
When the plaque was
Just when the
dedicated.
plaque was
okay.
created.
Oh, okay.
So that they know basically that this is when it was added.
She really, she really went into the archive room when it had just been things piled in there and created order and created the archives that we have.
She did, she created the archives as well.
She did do a tremendous amount for the library.
She purchased all of the shelving in there. She installed all of the shelving in there. All those acid-free boxes, she bought them and she put them in there, organize the coming sprints. I mean, really, that's really why they want this plaque. I mean, she certainly, to say she went above and beyond the call of duty is an understatement.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the plaque to be installed.
I make a motion that we approve the recommendation from the Marion Crane Gallery Committee to place a plaque in the Marion Crane Gallery honoring the contributions of Bobby Eldridge to the library.
And a second.
Second.
Great. Any more comments or questions? Okay, since we've got Lindsay online, we need to do a roll call vote. You want to start, Lindsay?
Sure, I, Lindsay Goodman. Tracy Murphy, I.
Right?
Jamie Valiant, aye. So we've got 4 here. 5-0.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, got Tracy. Okay, thanks so much, Tavi.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to do the approval of the minutes from December 2nd, 2025. I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
A second.
Okay, any comments or changes on the minutes before we approve them? I did make a few changes, but not very many, just some housekeeping stuff. Okay, you want to start us again, Lindsay? For a vote to approve the minutes?
I, Lindsay Goodman.
Great.
Tracy Murphy, I.
Bill Powers, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 5-0 on the minutes too. My trustee chair report will be pretty quick. 3 things to mention. I wanted to make a little comment on the $10,000 contribution that we got. That's in Tavi's report, his top paragraph there. Tavi and I put together the thank you letter that Tavi sent on, and I felt that it was really important in the thank you letter to talk about the new library project, possibly to educate them a little bit more in terms of what the project is working on and our possible timeline. So I think that making sure that we're increasing the conversation level on the new library project is an important goal for us. Tavi, you haven't heard anything back yet from that correspondence?
I haven't.
Okay. But we want to make sure that whenever there's a contribution like this, that we're also touching base with them about other stuff that we're doing that they know about. Because sometimes stuff like this comes out of the woodwork. I heard from someone else that the Hyannis Library contribution that they got that really kicked off their large expansion project was somebody from, that their fundraiser had not solicited funds from, somebody who came from Yarmouth. And, you know, it's just funny how things like that happen. And somebody came out and they just wanted to make a sizable contribution and felt that Hyannis was the right location. The second thing I wanted to mention was the OWL camera program.
Oh, good.
The town manager's office announced recently that they're purchasing 2 OWL cameras. And I don't know whether both of them or one of them will be systems that can be checked out by other staff in other town departments. So this could be one way that we could potentially occasionally move our meetings back over to Snow Library. It would be something that Tavi or Kaimi could check out. And it'll be in a suitcase, and they just have to hook it up to a laptop, and that would connect to the Zoom system. I had a brief conversation with the town clerk's office about this, and they said that they're in the initial stages of figuring everything out. So they want to work through all the kinks of using it inside the building before they let it go outside the building. But it's definitely something that would be a great way for us to be able to have small meetings taken up to the Zoom level, so that we can do stuff at Snow Library as well.
I've seen it used in Chatham when I was at a meeting there, a program there, and Osterville has one too. And they're just great, and it's, you know, literally, you take it out of the case, put it on a table, hook it to a computer, and it follows wherever the voice is coming from. So for instance, when you were talking, it would have pivoted to her and shown her on the camera, and then it would have pivoted back to you.
Yep.
It's
It's
really
great.
great.
And the technology has gotten so much better over the last 3 or 4 years, the
Mm.
software improvements that they've made. The company's grown quite a bit, so the product is definitely more sought after. It's definitely a good thing. And then there was one, bear with me just a second, one other thing I wanted to mention. I think I forgot it. Oh, annual report. So I just submitted the draft summary for the annual report to the town for 2025. Talked about the new library project, talked about the Library of Things program, which has been a huge success that I didn't want to bother Kaimi about today, and talked about some of our really, really strong statistics for library use, including the fact that we're basically at almost 100,000 people utilizing the library every single year. You know, it's just a page, but it's our way of giving people more information, and also I made sure that I highlighted a few key web links so that there's people utilizing other things, going back out to our website and learning more.
Can I
Okay.
ask a question about that, Jamie?
Sure.
Is that number based on the number of people walking through the door of the library, and is there a number for the number of people who access the library via other means, via Zoom and other means? And I ask that because that number is greatly increasing as people get older, and
Yeah.
so that's my question.
Yeah.
I don't think Zoom use is added on to the doorway.
No,
Camera.
it is not. And so the doorway is a separate guy. That's just everybody who walks through the door.
Is there some way you can capture the,
Well, I can capture some of it. I can't capture all of it, but I can sure capture some of it.
if you can capture it and give it to Tommy, he can't use it for that state report that most of these.
I think
Well,
he
and I
has
do.
some of it. Yeah,
Ellen gives
I've
me the
given it
numbers.
to
That's
him.
how we know about the programming numbers. So we keep statistics, and Ellen keeps statistics, and she sends them to me, so for the
And it
state.
separates out the Zoom participation.
Yes.
Oh, great. Oh, good.
And
So
it's
the state's
growing.
collecting that now.
Mhm.
Good.
What would you say your, without getting fully into lifetime learning, but what would you say your Zoom numbers are? Are they like a third of your total participation?
You know, I would say they're at least a quarter.
At least a quarter, yeah.
And not only that, it brings Snow Library all over the state.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and with doing that, it also, I will not be surprised personally if down the line a big contribution comes from someplace like Linden Ponds for Snow Library. Okay, so it's not only helping people, you know, just in their daily lives, because so many people are older and rely on the library for social interaction and keeping alert in their education.
Mhm.
But in addition to that, in addition to helping people as they get older, it's just, yeah, it's a big plus, I think, for us.
Sure. Maybe next year when we do the summary, we can try and come up with some sort of another number to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, we keep track of the numbers.
But you've definitely brought it up to my attention. I appreciate it. Okay.
And you can't discount that number anymore. You could at one point, because that's not how people interacted, but now a lot of them do.
Sure. Turning back to you again, the report of the Friends representative.
So,
I know you're not Tracy Sally, but Tracy.
I am not
Huntington.
Tracy Sally,
Thank you.
but I can pretend to be here for a couple of minutes. So, because Tracy did she sent me the report of everything except lifetime learning, because she said, you're gonna be there, you do that.
Okay.
So, the report from Tracy, from Friends, is the financial, and I can give this sheet to whoever's,
To Darcy, yeah, when you're
when I'm done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The financial report for July, financial report July through November 2025. Gross year-to-date profit, 55,700. Year-to-date contributions, 21,500. Year-to-date operating expenses, $10,500. Year-to-date operating income, $23,700. Year-to-date investment income minus fees, $16,500. Year-to-date net income, $40,100. President's report. The Little Free Library at Skakit Beach has been temporarily removed for repairs and repainting, and it will be replaced in the spring. Second, our first annual appeal, which included townspeople of the Orleans voter list, as well as of our members, has been very successful. We always get large end-of-the-year donations, but now we're seeing more financial support from many folks in town. We will be reconvening the Capital Campaign Committee this winter. One of our many donations was specifically earmarked for a new library.
Good.
Other news. Book sales continue to be stronger than last year. eBay sales of more valuable books are contributing to this. We are going to explore moving beyond our cash and check only policy as other libraries are doing. Jerry Grenier has worked up a yearly technology budget so we have a more accurate accounting of those expenses. We gave the library staff members gift cards to Friends Marketplace for the holidays. And then she said, do the LTL report. So Lifetime Learning was very successful this last session. We had 1,675 total registrations. 118 people were brand new to the program out of a total, and there was a total of 522 people who registered for Lifetime Learning courses. We ran 23 courses, and out of those 23, 6 of them brought in over 100 registrations. And in addition to serving just Lifetime Learning here in Orleans and the Orleans community, Lifetime Learning goes out to other libraries. It goes out to several different assisted living places. We're building those relationships. It goes out to councils on aging around the Cape. We literally promote it all over the place. And because we're via Zoom, we are able to bring in presenters from around the country and around the world to present our courses. And we're able to reach people around the country and around the world. And when we do, we talk about Snow Library and how it is what we consider the community center to this small area. And we request that people, when they participate in our program, appreciate what this little library is doing for the community and for them. One of the people who grabbed hold of this is a woman who is the program director up in Linden Ponds. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Linden Ponds up in Boston. Linden Ponds, from what I understand, has about 1,600 residents, and they are quite well off from what I understand. She is now part of our Lifetime Learning Committee. We have kind of bonded, and I've asked her if she wants to be on the committee. She's even willing to come down from Boston if we have meetings, but she will work with me, and we will be offering our programs. We already did this last time in a small way to Linden Ponds, but we will be offering the library programs and telling people at Linden Ponds about Snow Library in Orleans. And at the same time, we will probably be able to pull some presenters from that group. We're always out looking for brand new presenters. A lot of the libraries that are on the Cape that run programs like this, I don't think that, they don't have as big a staff, but they also don't go out and look for presenters. I mean, literally, as I travel around, if I see a great presenter, even across the ocean, I will ask them if they want to do a presentation for lifetime learning at Snow Library, if I think it's going to be well received. So our program is very highly regarded. There are 24 of us, all volunteers, and they work their butts off. And it's a very successful program. Do you have any questions?
I do. How have the communications investments gone in terms of the additional monitors and do you see yourself having to make any more changes, or do you think
So
that it's
you're asking about the technology.
for going on?
So the
Zoom?
technology upgrades that we did this last year, I don't know if you know, Andy O'Neill heads up our technology group. The major purchase that we needed for the technology was a new laptop. Andy donated $500 to the Friends of the Snow Library and then purchased a $500 laptop.
Oh, wow.
We also have had people, we have a couple presenters that have come in that we always have a flat honorarium that we give our presenters, and it's not very much. We've had a couple that will not present for that flat, what we can offer. This last time, we had 3 different people who stepped up to the plate and just personally covered the extra amount in order to have that presenter, okay? And some of them are members of the committee. So when I say that the committee is supportive of this, they're so much behind it that not only did they put their time, but they put their pocketbooks behind it. And so the technology needs have been, and even with Don, a lot of the technology needs that we have had, unless even the major one, have been paid for out of pocket by people volunteering for lifetime learning who believe in it. So I don't think there were hardly any technology expenses this time at all that weren't already covered. I think at the most we might have bought a microphone, and I think next time we need maybe one more new microphone. But no, there's no more huge expenditures that we see coming down the line. That being said, it's technology.
Sure.
Okay, and technology moves along at a very rapid pace.
Yep.
But Andy is on top of it, and we don't buy what we don't need. And again, and we also received a grant from, not a grant, but a gift from one of the people who participate in Lifetime Learning. I think it was for $1,500 that also bought some of our technology for us.
Great.
So between the people taking the courses and the people on the committee, we're actually covering quite a few of those ourselves.
That's great.
And it's being well maintained by the tech staff.
Any other questions for Ellen? Great. Well, thank you so much for coming today.
And I imagine you need me to stay because I have to keep taking notes for Tracy, right?
Well, the meeting is just about to wrap.
Oh, okay.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
All right.